Proffitt podcast listeners, we have a special guest today. This is her second time officially on the show, but the first time being here solo. So welcome to the show, Carrie.
Thank you, Crystal. Excited to be here.
Yes, this is going to be so much fun. And it was funny because we were talking about before we started recording, we were like, we may get a cat appearance, and I've really got my fingers and toes crossed that it's going to happen. But I love just bringing this up like right at the beginning, because I think so many of our listeners, like people that are in the audience, like we all worry about these things, right? Yeah. See, look,
Yeah, I
heard one. It's like, wait, are you talking about me? Hang on, let me get my pose. Like,
Right.
So let's just start there. Like, where do you typically record your podcast? Like, what is your setup on a regular basis to record your content?
So I usually use my middle child's old bedroom, and it's got carpet and like lots of stuff like everywhere. So it kind of helps like with the echo. And I can shut the door, and my animals at home don't bother me. Unlike the ones at the office, they're just all over me. They're like attached to my hips. So
That's so funny. So do your animals at the office, like, do they just live up there 24/7, or do they go back and forth?
no, they live here all the time. So like on the
That's so
weekend,
fun.
somebody stops by once a day to make sure they're good and feed them. But yeah, no, and there are like stress relief when when we've got something frustrating going on. We just go pet a cat, or
I
they come and
love
sit in our
this.
lap. They
I
love to sit in our
love
lap
this.
too. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's the best people on your team, right?
Right.
They're the pets.
Yes.
Oh, this
Yes.
is so fun. Well, I want to get into why I really wanted to have this conversation with you today. So, everyone will know, they'll be familiar with Carrie. She was on the podcast before. Her and Melissa, they shared about having accountability and launching your podcast. But here we are. Like, how many episodes are you into your show? And can you tell everybody what the name of your show is?
So the name of the show is E-commerce Made Easy, and I'm on I think next week is going to be number 38.
Wow. How does that feel?
It's kind of exciting because it was something I wanted to do, and I wanted to make sure like I fully committed to it and was very consistent, because I know that's like what's really important about podcasting. So I've just been really excited. I haven't taken a week break. Like if I knew something was coming up, I recorded more than one episode so I could schedule it. And I don't know, I'm really excited and proud of myself. I've been doing it every week since May 2nd. So 2023. So yeah.
That's awesome. Like, it's so, like, well, first of all, I just like, congratulations. I always want to tell people like, it's a huge milestone. Like, and I think that we forget that because we just get so like in the weeds of like, I need to do it. I need to make it happen. And then here you are. Like, there's people listening right now that are like, oh, I want to be where Carrie is like one day. Like, that's their goal. So it's just so fun. I love celebrating members of this community and those milestones that you can hit. But the thing that we're here to talk about today is something that could not be so exciting for some people. And I will like just be like totally honest. This was me for a long time. And that is why when Carrie and I were chatting about, hey, like I really want you to come on the show and break down the topic of today, SEO. So before I share any of my nightmarish type of stories about SEO, like what does SEO mean to you? Like in like simple terms, like what does that phrase mean for you?
Well, it stands for search engine optimization, if the listeners don't already know that, but it's kind of a long game, and it's a great way to get more visibility on your podcast or on your website organically without having to pay for paid ads. And it's a great way to serve your customers and be found online if you use the right words when you're creating your content.
Oh, this is such a simple definition. And it's one that I think I first came across one that was the more technical version of how it works. And it scared me to death because Carrie, I mean, here I am. I was a stay-at-home mom for several years. And then I was like, oh, I'll try this blogging thing. And SEO came across, my desk pretty early on in my journey. And I felt like quitting because it kept saying like, you have to understand SEO, like search and SEO, like maybe people said that, but every time I just heard search engine optimization every time, all of those words strung together sounded so stressful or so
Mhm.
technical. And I'm like, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. So if somebody is listening right now and they have encountered a more technical version of this, like, is there anything that can help us, like, take a deep breath and like just all calm down? Cause I feel like everyone is freaking out about having SEO and what it can mean for their content.
Yeah, search engine optimization can actually be really simple. And I feel like that's where you really should start with it is the simple version of it. And what you really just need to keep in mind is your audience. What do they want to know? What do they want to hear? What words are they using to search? So depending on your topic, what words are they literally searching? And you can do simple thing is going to Google. Start typing your topic. What are the searches that show up underneath your as you're typing? You can just start doing simple things like that to figure out what are those perfect words people are looking for. It's search engines anymore are more tailored towards the consumer. So as long as you have the consumer in mind, you're going to do better versus back in the old days with really old search engine optimization, you really kind of had to hack around things kind of and like really try to stuff things. You might see keyword stuffing when you're searching. Just ignore that. We don't do that anymore. So it can be as simple as just trying to speak to your audience directly and very specifically.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm so glad you brought up keyword stuffing because that was one of the other terms that I would see. And I'm like, I would see on one like blog, like, this is a good thing. And then I'd see on another one, like, this is a terrible bad thing. Like, your website will shut down if you do keyword stuffing. So there's been like, pros and cons to it over time. So I'm glad like we're not doing that in 2024 and beyond.
Nope.
It's fine. We're not doing that. But now, because I know you were someone that you wanted a podcast for a long time and you have seen, because you've been in business now, like helping people with their websites. So how long have you been in business with BCS engineering?
Over 21 years now, since 2002.
Yeah. So you know a thing or two about doing everything online. So from your perspective, has anything really, like, have you had a big shift in your thinking about SEO now that you're creating content for a podcast, or is it still similar? You're just kind of applying the principles that you already understood to everything that you're creating now.
It is very similar, and I'm not sure that there's really a whole lot different to do with podcasting search engine optimization, other than you might have some limited resources depending upon where you have your podcast, and whether you have external show notes or not. Like the external show notes are kind of like a bonus extra, but if you're just starting out, using something like you recommend BuzzSprout and making sure you have your title written well, your description written well. And if you turn on like the extra tools they have, whether do a transcript, that's going to help you as well be found in search engines. But yes, it's very similar to just search engine optimization for a website anymore.
Okay. Yeah. And that's good to know because again, I'm so glad you mentioned Buzzsprout because it's one of the reasons why I preach about it so much. I'm like, everybody knows how Crystal loves Buzzsprout, but it's because there's these features in there that can make marketing your show. So I want to touch on this real fast because marketing is where search engine optimization falls under. I think people think of it as this like technical thing that they have to figure out once they do this or they do that, but it falls under the marketing
Mhm.
umbrella. And is that really where you see clients? Like, are they coming to you from a more technical perspective or from a more strategic business perspective when they're thinking about SEO?
Um, there's it's when it comes to podcasting, it's more of a business kind of strategic perspective. When you're talking about like a website, so you had an external website for your show notes and for your transcript, some of that can be a little techy, but most applications anymore will handle that for you and will handle a lot of the tech behind the search engine optimization. So you kind of don't have to worry about it as much as you used to have to, say 10 or 15 years ago, as far as if you have an external website for it.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. And I'm so glad that we are not living 10 or 15 years ago because I can't. Like when people start like talking about all the site maps and like all this other stuff, like my mind explodes. And that's when I'm like, Carrie, like, I just like go to someone like Carrie and be like, can you explain what all this is to me? Because it's a little overwhelming. So I feel like the apps that are out there today, whether it's a good API or a software that can handle a lot of these tools, it's just so much more helpful. And speaking of that, are there any tools that you and your team just love for SEO? Is there something that the audience should know? Okay, these are pre-approved, like go try these out because these have been really helpful for maybe yourself or for your clients.
Um, yeah, so one of the tools that we like to use if we really want to dig deep into search engine optimization is it's a paid service called Moz, MOZ.org. And that one's really great at tracking your keywords. And this would be perfect if you have an external website for your podcast for like show notes and stuff. It wouldn't be necessary if you're using just BuzzSprout. So it's a little bit more advanced. But it can really help you see problems with your website. It'll find duplicate content. You may hear that get thrown out with search engine optimization. So you don't want many pages have the exact same content because that looks like old hat search engine optimization to them and they see it as spam.
Mm.
So, software like that can really help you determine whether you have that. But again, like this is like super advanced. There are free keyword searches out there. So you can like Google, free keyword search research, and you'll be able to find some free tools. Usually you can use unlimited searches with them, maybe 10 searches a day or something, but there's lots of free keyword searches out there. And you just literally can go to Google, like I said earlier, and just search. And then another thing you can do when you've searched something and actually search it, scroll down to the bottom. There's going to be related searches under there. And that might give you some really good ideas of other areas to go with your keywords.
Yeah.
And
And I
that's
was, oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, I was just going to say that we also want to not be too short with our keywords that we're thinking about. Keyword phrases are a little bit better because, like, say you sell dog treats. I like to use that example. I don't know why on my podcast a lot, but like you're selling dog treats. Well, that's a word that a lot of people have targeted. Let's get them a bit more specific. So, using Google to help you be a bit more specific on your actual topic rather than making it just a super short keyword and make it more of a phrase, grain free dog treats for picky dogs, something like that is going to get you an easier time to get a higher result than something really generic like dog treats.
Well, and that's exactly what I was going to say is like, do you have some examples from your own content or from someone else that you've helped? And that one is, it's so clear to me now that I've been doing this for a long time of where the holes are. So let's talk about that for a second. Is if someone is listening and they're like, okay, yeah, this is great, Crystal, Carrie, like I'll go research, I'll do this, but what if all of my competitors, all of the other podcasts in my niche, like they have their own podcast show notes, they have these external websites, and they're ranking for all of these things. And it just looks like it's too big of a mountain to climb. Do you have any advice for someone that's either brand new to SEO or they just kind of, because this was me. I was just like, Pat Flynn has the market on all podcasting and I don't have any space for this. Like, who am I? I'm this little bitty person, to start a brand new website and start putting stuff out there. Do you have any advice for someone in that position?
I would say definitely get what more specific whenever you are trying to create those keywords. And something else you can do when you search Google, it'll tell you how many results approximately exist website wise for those keywords. So if it's a really large number, you need to get a little bit more specific. When you're really starting out, it may seem silly, but you really need keyword phrases that are probably 5, 6, 7, 8 words in length until you get your momentum. And having other people link to you that are reputable websites is going to help you push up in those rankings faster too. So reaching out to other people and having them link to your podcast episodes, whether it's on BuzzSprout or on your own external website, that's going to help boost you faster and help you with those keywords that you're trying to search for and get up high for.
Yeah, this is so good. Backlinks is another one of those phrases that I was like, what does
Mhm.
this mean? Somebody explain it to me. So I'm so glad that you touched on that, because whenever I go into my SEO tool, I can see, oh, there's like so many backlinks from Buzzsprout because I
Mhm.
have created so much content, and I will use YouTube as well. So any of these other places where you're maybe repurposing your content, like add those links for your website, because it will help you in that SEO process. But I want to go back to what you were saying earlier about, let's say you're using a tool like I've always used Keywords Everywhere. It's a great one that I've used for Google and for YouTube, and I think Amazon as well. Like it can plug into all of these, and it will let you know how many monthly searches are there. Is
Mhm.
there a sweet spot that we're looking for? Are we looking for less than a million, but more than 50? Like, what's a sweet spot to say, oh, maybe that's a term that I can rank for, or one that I should use, or just any kind of guidelines around that?
Yeah, when you look at those tools, usually they'll tell you how many searches there are as well as how many results there are for that search. So you want to find that sweet spot where there's a decent number of searches for it. And it's going to depend upon your niche, like what number you really want to target there, but then not an overwhelmingly number of results for it. So you kind of, there's a term for it, and I can't remember quite that there's a ratio. If you want to get mathematical, there's like a ratio as to how many results versus how many searches are for it. So I would probably kind of play around with it. I mean, you don't want something that's got millions and millions and millions of search results, obviously, when you're first starting out. And so even if it's got a lot of searches for that topic, it may not be the best one because there's so many other results out there. So get a little bit tighter with your words and a little bit more specific till you find one that doesn't have lots of results and that you've but still gets a decent number of searches. It could be just like 1,000 searches a month. It could be as little as that, and that's okay. As long as you're getting the right people to your website, that's going to then snowball effect and make it better, because search engines pay attention when you get clicked on from their search results. So even if you're only getting, say 10, 50 clicks from one specific keyword phrase, that starts adding up. So the more you can do that, the more you're going to snowball, and you're going to start ranking for other things that are harder as you get more experience and more in the searches and more important to them.
This is so helpful. And while you're talking about all of these different components, because it is nuanced, and I think that's where
Mhm.
people get a little bit like, oh, SEO is overwhelming. There's too many pieces to it, but it really is a simple strategy. But like Carrie said from the beginning, it's a long term strategy. It's not an
Mhm.
overnight success. We're just going to put these things up there. But one of the things that I was thinking about is someone that has a brand new website, is there a timeline that they could expect to have something like, so all the things that we're just talking about, feeding kind of the algorithms and making sure we get backlinks and having all the SEO set up properly on your website. Is there a certain time that you've seen maybe the clients or people that you've worked with, it takes X amount of months before they start seeing results? Or is it really just dependent on the topic, the niche, like all of those pieces?
I mean, it really can depend on the topic and the niche, but you're probably looking anywhere from 3 months to a year. It
Okay.
just really kind of depends on, it also depends on how much you work at it. I mean, the more you link to your own webpage, ethically, I want to say that you've got to make sure you're not spamming yourself or you will get picked up. They will figure this out. But, when you're doing your social media marketing, occasionally post the link back to your website. Have other people in the business that, you're business friends with, have them link to you if they will. Doing things like that can help it happen faster, as well as making sure you sign up for Google Analytics and Google Webmaster. It kind of sounds a little scary, but they do walk you through it. But having Google Analytics on your webpage makes you more important to Google because you're giving them information. I mean, it's kind of just what it is, right? And so signing up for Google Analytics for your external website will help you out. And then using their webmaster tools will also help you out. That one though, actually it's that one's not too overwhelming. Google Analytics can be a little overwhelming. I'm just going to say that. The Google Webmaster Tools is a lot more simple. but it will give you potential problems with your website and tell you. It's free too.
So does Google, the search console fit under there,
Yeah.
or is that separate from the web? Like, cause I know that they've rebranded things and they're changing things. So I just wasn't sure if the console is part of that.
Yes, it's a search console. I still forget that they renamed it. It's used to be Google Webmaster Tools. It's all the same. It's Search Console, Webmaster Tools. You could search for either and probably find the right link for it.
Yeah, because I think that that's one that I had played around with, the very, very basic version of analytics, and it's just kind of like laser focused. Like it's kind of like you walk into Costco. I love to overspend at Costco, and I'm like, we are on a mission. We're only going to buy these 4 things, and then we're out of here because there's too many things to look at. It's overwhelming. That's how I feel when I go into analytics. I'm like, there's so many cool things that I can do in here. I can, look at these demographics. I can see, top keywords. I can like do all these things. But it's just, there's a one point where you shut down. It's like you're
Mhm.
2 hours into a Costco trip and everybody's starving, and you're like, I have to pee, but I'm carrying 2 baskets. Like it becomes way too much. And that's how I feel when you hit this point. So you got to like have your ripcord to be able to say, okay, I'm only going to spend a little bit of time in here. But is that something that is, I don't know, like, because when I think about you're starting something brand new, because I keep going back to the beginner, because the beginner is usually the person that is overwhelmed with a lot of things. They're starting a podcast, they're launching a website. I know many people in here are creating a course or services or lead magnets. Like there's so many pieces that go into an online business. So is analytics one of those that we can outsource to someone else and then say, hey, can you come back and just tell me what I need to know from it? Or should a business owner really have a pulse on that? And how often should they check it? That was kind of a layered question there. So go for it.
Gotcha. Well, so yes, you can definitely outsource it. I do recommend to my audience, and I have a free search engine optimization mini course, that even if you don't want to do this stuff yourself, you should be at least a little bit familiar with it so that you can understand the information that's given back to you if you outsource it. And I feel like if you're starting out brand new, just simply looking at, pick 1 or 2 metrics, that's it. That's it. And just record it and write it down, maybe weekly, maybe monthly. Don't overwhelm yourself. But see how many visitors you're getting per month. Just pick out one metric, the number of visitors, see if that's increasing, see if that's growing. It's kind of like how you tell us when we're starting our podcast. Don't be obsessing over your numbers too much, right? Only check it so often, or you might get sad and depressed if it's not going up too high one week versus another week, just keep a pulse on it. But yes, you can definitely outsource it. I do recommend, like I said, though, having a little bit of an idea of what's going on so that you can understand what's coming back to you if you do outsource it.
Well, I have to turn around and ask you this question then. What are your favorite metrics to look at whenever you're in Google Analytics? If you had to pick like 3, what are your favorite 3 to look at when you're measuring a website?
Well, you really want to look at the number of visitors. You want to look at the average time they spend on the website. And so this is actually another little search engine optimization tip, is if they're spending more time on your website, your rankings are going to go up. And they actually have this new metric now where and this is a little bit of a tangent, but they now know when you scroll on the website. So it's not just like sitting there. They also count how much you scroll. So probably the main things would be how many visitors on average per week, how long are they staying per week. They've added back in the bounce rate. They actually kind of took that away. Bounce rate just means somebody lands on your website and leaves immediately, which means you probably weren't the right fit for what they were looking for. So making sure your bounce rate is decently low is probably another good thing to look at, just so that you're attracting the right audience. Because if your bounce rate's high, then maybe you're using the wrong keywords for your stuff. Maybe you need to do some research, and maybe you're not using the right words that consumers who want to consume your information are using, just some different slang, for example. So yeah, probably looking at visitors, how long people are on the website, and bounce rate, probably the top 3 to get a good pulse on your website.
Okay, this is so, so helpful. And I mean, I know we've been talking mostly to the beginners here, but now I want to talk to someone because I know they're out there and they're going to say, Crystal, why are you calling me out? Because they feel it. Because I know this is you, because this has been me before too. What about those people that set up Google Analytics before the whole GA4 stuff even happened and before all this, like they have been ignoring it for months and months, maybe years and years. And now they're like, okay, Carrie, my New Year's resolution was to get my SEO act together. Like I am going to look at my analytics. I'm going to do all these things. Where would you recommend, like if they have historic information, how far back should someone go to measure this? Or do you just recommend start from where you are today and measure forward? Like, what would you say to someone who's kind of in that predicament?
Well, you could do the start from where you are and move forward. Or another thing that's really good is comparing your metrics, say this January to last January, because most businesses or listeners are cyclical. They might listen more in the summer or during Christmas time when they're more free and they're maybe off work. So you want to kind of compare to the previous time frame is a really good idea to see if you're growing or if you're going down. Another thing you can do in Google Analytics is select a very large time frame to look at. So instead of just this week, maybe you want to look at the past 4 or 5 months and see what your general trend is to see whether it's up or down, kind of like you would do on your podcast. Are you getting more visitors regularly? Is your weekly listenings going up? So you can do something like that and really kind of look at a long-term um, time frame as well as comparing to previous time frames.
Yeah, I really love the idea of comparing January 23 to January 24 as opposed to January to February, because
Mhm.
you are 100% right. There are most topics will have a calendar that is cyclical to them, and it may be totally different. Like my podcast stats and my website visits may look completely different than Carrie's. And it's important that you understand that, because I know how we are. Like we have business besties and we have people and we're like, oh, I got so many downloads this month. How'd you do? And you're like, oh, well, crap, I didn't get that many. But your time to shine may be in the summer or in the middle of the fall. So be careful with how you like share that information or talk to other people about it, and make sure that you are all kind of of the understanding that things are cyclical and it will matter from business to business. And it may not be like, don't beat yourself up. That's what I'm saying. Like for anybody that's listening, don't beat yourself up if your bestie started at the same time that you did and y'all are not seeing the same results, because those things do matter. And I'm curious for you, is there a specific time that you see spikes in your content that, is surprising to you, that you're like, oh, I had no idea that this was going to be the month of people looking at website stuff?
I had this weird spike in November. I was like, I didn't even know where it came from. I had one episode just go completely crazy. It's still the highest listened to episode of all time, and it's a topic I didn't even expect. Um, so I guess kind of on that note too, you just never know
Yeah.
what your audience wants to hear too, and keeping pulse on what's working and what isn't is going to help you. And I was actually just thinking about this too. If you don't, and a lot of people say this, if you don't measure it, you're not going to improve on it. So
Mhm.
pick one or two things to measure in search engine optimization. Don't overwhelm yourself, and you're going to improve it because you're measuring it, because you're trying to do better.
Yeah, and I mean, you said this earlier, but that's why consistency is so important. Cuz people will say, I'm doing this thing and it's not working. I'm doing this thing and it's not working. And I still remember a time, so and we could talk about this too, is strategies for SEO may look different for different types of content. I know we've been talking about podcasts, but I was thinking about for my YouTube channel, right? I was creating all this content for so long, and it wasn't until I thought, okay, I'm doing this wrong. I need to think of how to title these videos different, because podcast, because I did my Google research, the word podcast in and of itself, I mean, we're talking millions upon millions, because it could be the name of a podcast, it could be something else. And so I was never going to rank for that. But whenever I started creating videos on YouTube that had solo podcast in the title, my channel took off. Like my channel started getting, and it's still, I can go into my YouTube analytics because it's connected to Google and see all these cool things behind the scenes. And so I can tell you that consistency matters so much. And you won't ever have one of those opportunities, like Carrie said, for something to just all of a sudden take off if you just try this once and you say, well, it doesn't work. I'm just going to go, try to do something else. So I don't know. Do you have any other stories of something that's just like, man, like this one thing just surprised me so much, whether it was for you personally or someone that you worked with?
Um, I'm trying to think like one thing, I don't know why that made me think of something else, or it's not quite directly related, but like another thing that I'm going to do this year, just so you guys know, is I haven't been, and I'm going to admit this, I haven't been doing search engine optimization for my podcast very much. I really haven't. I just haven't had time because I wanted to just be consistent and get it out the door. So that's going to be something I'm going to be doing in 2024 is making sure that I do take 5 minutes and research the title I want to use that seems natural to me and make sure it's optimized. So that's what I'm going to plan on doing is, I love to use BuzzSprout's AI to get some podcast title ideas. They actually does a really good job, but then I want to take it a little bit further, put it in Google, put it in YouTube, because as people many times know, they might not know, YouTube's just another search engine. Put it in there, see what you're going to get. And then you can build from there. So I think should also think of, if you're starting your podcast, don't think you have to SEO it right away. Be consistent and get it down. Didn't really answer your question though. Sorry.
No,
I'm trying to
great.
think,
It's great.
think off the top of my head.
But you actually prompted another question, because now I'm thinking about someone that's listening, because you're just saying like, well, I can go back and change these things or update them. What does that look like? Because I recently had someone ask me this. They said, Crystal, I have all these old blog posts and I just titled them what I have in BuzzSprout, but maybe it was something a lot more generic that their listener would understand, but it doesn't have that sweet spot of this is SEO friendly or something that would really hit in a search engine. So if there's someone that's listening and they already have existing content on their website, maybe in the form of a blog post or show notes, what advice would you give to them to go back and update it? Or like, what would you say?
Yes, I think they should definitely update it. I think they should probably not get overwhelmed, and let's just pick the top 5 or 10 podcast episodes that's really done really well. Let's optimize those first. So take your existing title you already have, start doing some searches, see what other options might come up. Maybe only use part of the words in your title. I've got one that's like increase 4 tactics to increase website traffic. That's like episode number 2 or 3 or 4. It's really young. It's one of my early ones, but it ranks in Google now. But I could possibly tweak it a little bit more and be a bit more specific as to how, maybe be a little more specific with it. But if you take a few of your existing ones and really find those good keywords, and to get a little bit techie here, you really should have the keywords be really good in your title of your page. So if we're talking our external websites, we want the keywords really good in our title of our page. And then most places like WordPress that you do blogs, you can use what's called headings. So you want to make it readable like you would read a normal Word document that somebody made you a report. Put your heading as your title again. So your heading 1s. Your heading 2 should support your heading 1 titles. So you kind of want to do this in an English way. Like if you're writing, not necessarily formal, we don't necessarily want to have formal writing on our blog posts, but the structure of the formal writing, because that really helps search engines understand what your page is about, what topic is it, and what are your supporting topics to the main topic. And that's really going to help your rankings for that topic that you have for that specific page.
Yeah,
Just to get a little bit more detail there.
Yeah. And I love that you said don't get overwhelmed and try to, because people will come to me and say, well, I got to go back to episode 0 and start from there and go in chronological order. And I'm like, no, like red flag, do not do that. And follow Carrie's advice. Pick the ones that maybe you just know that I love talking about this topic and it performed well. Those are the ones that I want to make sure, because there's some stuff on my website, y'all. Let me just tell you, because this is how I know SEO works. There's one blog post that still lives on my website that I put out on Pinterest in 2019 that still brings traffic to my website every year. It's not really public in that like it has a link that you can just get to from crystalproffitt.com, the podcast coach, content strategist. It's about why I don't walk my kids into school on the first day of school. It's the most random thing, right? Like if this was in my early blogging days, but because I already understood SEO and it was working, it's still bringing traffic to my website. And it's just on a normal blog page. It doesn't look like anything fancy. So people probably get confused. Or like, what? Who is this podcast coach? Like, why is she talking about taking her kids into school? But I'm just saying all of it, it works. And it will continue to work for years to come because there's so much out there. And I want to go back to one last question, because you mentioned this earlier about the ethics of the links and everything. So if you're using a tool like Pinterest or anything else, like you mentioned Instagram or somewhere else, is there a special formula for how many times you yourself can link to something from, like, because I remember back in the day, like I said, I used the tool when I was in blogging exclusively before I fell in love with podcasting. I used the Tailwind tool to post on Pinterest. It was like 10 times a day, and it would post all these different times, but it was all going back to the same link. Maybe it was a different picture or something like the format of it, but they were all going back to my website. Is that what you would deem still ethical in that realm? Or what are some things that we should look out for when linking back to our own stuff?
You definitely want to make sure that the website has a good reputation, and that's kind of harder to tell, but like you kind of know when you're on a website that's kind of sketchy. So you
Yeah.
don't want to have links from sketchy websites. So if somebody's like, "Oh, you pay me just a little bit of money and I'll link to you." No, don't do that. No, usually you want it from free and from somebody else that's also reputable. The social media aspect's a little bit more tricky because not everything shows up on social media all the time. As we know, it's here and gone like in minutes many times. Pinterest is a little bit different, obviously, because people can pin it. And I think that's probably more okay because it's a reputable website, especially if you're not kind of like spamming the links. Like if you have a specific topic, you're not like repeating those words multiple times in your content that links to your web page. So that would be probably a bit more on the spammy side, but it's honestly a little bit harder to do the unethical linking. Although I feel like there's still some search engine people out there that aren't very ethical and will be like, "Oh, I can get you on 100 websites in like 10 days." No, don't fall for that. This is a long play. You need to be gentle with it and take things at a time. And one thing you can do yourself that you can control, and it's something we haven't talked about too much, is internal linking. So if you do go the little bit more advanced route and have your own blog and your own website for your podcast, link to relevant articles, relevant previous podcast episodes, use the keywords you want to be found for that link that you're going to. And that's also going to help your rankings to a search engine. So that's one linking you can control, is links to yourself. And obviously you don't want to have links everywhere, but have purposeful links, ones that help consumers. Always think about your listener in mind, and you'll be in pretty good shape.
Oh gosh, this is so helpful. And I feel like everybody's brains exploding. Like, okay, I need to go like do this and do that. But if someone were listening to this today, do you have like one big takeaway that you would give to them, or one thing that's like, okay, put on your blinders and only do this if you want to be successful with SEO this year? What would that be?
I think if you want to be successful and just have one thing to concentrate on is, before you publish your podcast episode, just do some quick keyword searches and just make sure you kind of nail that title. If you're doing how to's, start with the words how to increase your website traffic, for example. You might want to get a little bit more specific, but than that one's a little bit short. But yeah, just pick your keywords and really focus on those without overdoing it. If you feel like you're repeating yourself too much, you probably are, and Google and the major search engines aren't going to like it. So pick your phrase and go with that and keep your head down and don't worry about anything else until you're ready to do another step.
That's awesome. This is awesome. This is so fun. And I knew that you would be the perfect person to talk about this, Carrie, because we had a conversation before. I was like, we just need the simple version of SEO. We need the user friendly, the one that's like, I'm not this big scary search engine that's like super hard to understand. So thank you so much for bringing all of these big nuanced technical things down to our level, because I appreciate it. I know so many people do too, but we're going to move into our rapid fire questions, which I just thought about. I was like, wait, Carrie has done this before. Carrie has done our rapid fire questions, and we're going to do them again with a little bit of a twist. So are you ready for that?
Sure. And I don't remember them from before, so we'll be good.
So it's like a total, it's new to you. Okay. So the number one is, what advice would you give to a brand new podcaster or content creator? And I'm going to go a step further, who is looking at creating a website this year.
Okay. So what advice would I give them? I would say start simple, write down your goals, try not to create too many goals at once. I'm talking 3 to 5 goals. That's not very many goals. Like, it's kind of like how you do project management. Don't pick too many projects to work on, and find somebody that you can trust, that you really go with your gut. Don't necessarily go with the cheapest person out there if you need help building your website. You're probably going to spend more money because you're going to spend more time hand holding somebody that's super cheap. So find somebody that's affordable to you, but also that you have a good gut feeling about and can trust, because we've seen so many people get just, and not in a good place if they go with the super cheap. So
yeah, I'm sure you and your team, you're like, we fix a lot of things that other people have done.
yeah.
Okay. My second question is, what is the dream podcast you would love to be on? And who is your dream podcast guest you'd love to interview?
Well, since I'm already on your podcast, we'll go with, let's say, Amy Porterfield. I think it would be super cool to be on her podcast because I already wanted to be on yours, and here I am. So that's great. And what was the second part of the question? I totally forgot it.
So who would you love to interview? Who is your dream guest that you would love to sit down with and just pick their brain?
Probably like Donald Miller or, one of those, maybe Brian, the 12-week year guy, Brian something, Moran, I believe it is. Yeah, probably one of those. I'm just really into business and business learning. And I think even though our podcast is e-commerce made easy, you've got to have a business mindset behind it too. So I think somebody different, a little bit more of a tangent from what we do, I think would be great.
Yeah, that's so good. Those are great recommendations. And then the last question is, do you consider yourself a perfectionist?
I am definitely a recovering perfectionist, and sometimes I have my perfectionist days that get me so stuck, and it's so frustrating.
It's good. It's such an honest answer, and I think that everybody can relate to that. So thank you so much for sharing. But Carrie, where can everybody find more about you and your business? Tell us how do you help people with SEO or their websites? If somebody's listening and they're like, I don't want to deal with any of this, I want Carrie to help me. Where would they go to find you and all the things?
Well, so we love helping people in any stage, really, whether it's they want to have us hold their hand the whole time or whether they want us to like run through it and just do it ourselves and be, they're completely hands off. We like to meet our clients where they are. And you can find us on currently our really old website, bcsengineering.com. Please don't judge me. We are rebranding right now. You can actually also find us at bcsesolutions.com, which is our new branding name, because people were so confused by the word engineering. So those are the two main places. And then the e-commerce made easy podcast is a great way to connect to me too.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, I think that we'll link to everything in the show notes, and please go listen to Carrie's podcast. Like if this is something that you're just like, I just don't know where to start. This was I didn't really like drop this earlier, but Carrie is a former client and like student of mine, and one of the things that we worked on, I still remember sitting and talking about your podcast, and you were like, Crystal, I work with people that are so smart and I don't want to overwhelm them with all these things. I want it to be so easy. And I think that you've done a fantastic job. So again, I just want to like congratulate you on like fulfilling your vision with this podcast, because I think that you're doing such an incredible job, and having Carrie in your ear to help walk you, like handhold you, like walk you through these things that could be a lot more technical. She's just the perfect person. So please go check out her podcast.
Thank you. I love helping make it be relatable to everybody of whatever technical ability they are.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. This was fantastic. And we'll have to have you again. I mean, you're getting up there in the Hall of Fame. If we have you back for a third time, I mean, like you're going to get up there. And yeah, I enjoy talking to you so much.
Yes. It's like we've met in person and we're best friends every time we get on the phone together. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you.